Welcome to Second Take, the show that takes a look at the issues behind the news. South Africa has declared 3 new Renewable Energy Development Zones. Terence joins me to discuss how the development could fit in with the country's just transition aspirations. Hi Terence.
Hi Chanel.
Minister Creecy has officially proclaimed 3 new REDZ.
That's correct. This has been gazetted now in a notice. In Malahleni in Mpumalanga, Klerksdorp in the northwest, and Beaufort West in the Cape have been proclaimed. Now this brings to 11 our number of REDZ in the country. Most of those that were proclaimed in the earlier phase, or phase 1, are really in the southern part of the country, in the Cape provinces, where the wind resource is very strong. Northern Cape is seen as one of the best solar resources in the world, whereas this time there's been an effort to also bring in areas where there's a decline in other economic activity. For instance, Klerksdorp is a gold mining territory, and Malahleni is at the center of South Africa's coal mining industry. And also this is more, a lot of these new zones are more closely associated with existing grid infrastructure. We really have a north-south type electricity supply industry where production is predominantly in the northeast of the country, flowing down our transmission lines down south, but really feeding the main node or the main load center of Gauteng, which is our industrial hub still. So what we'll see as we transition to a new energy system that is less coal dominant is that we'll see a reversal of the flow over time, with more of a south-north type flow in future. But we need to transition there, and we need to sweat the assets that we already have in terms of the grid infrastructure, which is the key to unlocking this new transition to a more renewables-based electricity sector. So I think the proclamation of these new zones is about that. But more specifically, it's also about accelerating the process of getting environmental authorization. At the moment, it takes very long to get environmental authorization for just about any project in South Africa, including renewable energy projects. And this could, because it's become with an update to the environmental authorization process, it could reduce the time frame from around 300 days to around 150 days. So it's quite a significant shortening of the time frame. There are concerns, though, that this environmental authorization now needs to have some landowner buy-in, which hasn't been the case up to now, and that could put a spanner in the works. But I think on the whole, the idea is to bring in new areas for renewable energy, to integrate that with areas that already have grid capacity, and to integrate it where there are jobs that are being lost in other industries.
Why could this help support South Africa's just transition?
Well, I think particularly in the Mpumalanga province, that's really the heart of South Africa's coal industry. We know that there is going to be a decommissioning of power stations from now until 2030. About 10 gigawatts of coal capacity might be decommissioned. And then over time, we'll be decommissioning our older coal-fired fleet. Really, by 2050, really only having probably Kusile and Medupi in the mix, unless there are new coal IPPs that are built, which is a big if, because there's a lot of objections to that. So we are going to be seeing a decline in coal mining and coal electricity production over a period of time. Already we know that there's about 3 or 4 power stations that are going to be decommissioned in the coming 3 to 5 years. So there's already work around that. So having a REDZ declared, Renewable Energy Development Zone declared in Malahleni is seen as important to aligning with that just transition, to create potential for new energy jobs in an energy region. So that's why I think particularly that zone has been declared. What has raised some eyebrows is it's very much the technology allocation there for the REDZ has been confined to solar PV. Now that I think it'll be interesting to see, because Mpumalanga does have wind resource as well. In fact, the measurements show that wind resource is superior to many other parts of the world that have already put in large-scale onshore wind. So to confine it to solar PV doesn't seem a wise idea, but at this stage that's what the REDZ proclamation says. But I think we'll see over time more and more renewable energy developing either around the decommissioned power stations in Mpumalanga or in this RED.
What other opportunities are there for igniting just transition programs?
I think we have to have an economy-wide view of the just transition. So not all the jobs, it's not going to be a like for like, losing an energy job here, a coal job there, straight into a renewable job. There might have to be other opportunities. We know with Eskom, for instance, they have a repowering and repurposing of their power stations that are being decommissioned. So the repowering would be very much around using renewable energy, possibly integrating hydrogen, green hydrogen into the mix, maybe switching fuels to gas, or that would probably have to be imported either from Mozambique or imported through an LNG terminal in Mozambique. So there are these views about repowering, and there will be jobs created around that. But there's many other opportunities to use these sites for repurposing, and these are particularly around education and training, skilling, as well as agricultural activities. These are very thirsty plants, these power stations, so there's already a lot of water infrastructure around there that could be used to stimulate agricultural activities around these plants. So I think a narrow energy for energy job type approach is not going to cut it in terms of the just transition. We need a broader sector-wide approach, multi-sector approach, a training, reskilling approach, and also looking to build some manufacturing and industry. If there is going to be a large deployment of solar PV, in particular, say in Mpumalanga, which we know Sasol's got a 900 megawatt program of its own. A number of the IPPs will be looking at Mpumalanga as an opportunity, just because there is an ability to evacuate your power because there's grid infrastructure. So if there's going to be a large-scale solar rollout in Mpumalanga, surely there must be opportunities for both manufacturing and services around that. So to have a very narrow approach to a just energy transition probably wouldn't be the way to go. We need a just transition approach that is multi-sectoral and doesn't just look at the energy jobs, but also the jobs and the business opportunities in the supply chains around energy and in other industries that can emerge in these zones.
Thank you. That's the Second Take Show for this week. Thank you for watching, and join us again next time for more news analysis. Also, don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Engineering News daily email newsletter.